All right, this is speech number 2. Audience 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The women in my family have this special talent where we just live for a really, really long time. There are women in my family who have lived to be over 100 years old. These women have learned over the years that it's not about how many years you get, but it's about what you do with those years. Before she passed away, my Aunt Fran used her 95 years the best she could. Aunt Fran was actually my great aunt, who is my grandmother's sister. And the way I saw her fill her life with love and exploration inspires me and many people around her. Today, I want to inspire you by telling you about how Aunt Fran had an happy, unshakable independence while still faithfully loving her family and serving her community. To give you a mental image of who we'll be talking about, this was Aunt Fran when she was about 20 years old, about my age. And this is the Aunt Fran that I knew about 60 years later when she was 80 years old. First, I'll tell you about Aunt Fran's independence. Aunt Fran demonstrated a very happy independence to the people around her. She lived a fulfilled life without ever being married. She lived contently an existence that many of us fear. She never complained about her single status, though. Instead, she embraced it. She told people that it freed her up to spend more time with many people, like her friends and family. And she refused to be ashamed of her singleness. She always had a comical comeback when people questioned her about it. There were many times when men would tease her about being an old maid, and she would retort with a twist on her favorite Bible verse, Romans 1:13. The verse says, "Now I would not have you ignorant, brethren." Aunt Fran would move the comma and she would say, "Now I would not have you ignorant, brethren." Aunt Fran also encouraged people to go out and to discover the world, even if no one goes with you. Aunt Fran lived by herself in Georgia for most of her life, but she often went and visited friends and family. Throughout her years, she drove by herself to California, Florida, Virginia, Mississippi, and many other places. But her independence did not stop her from supporting those closest to her. She faithfully loved her family. Aunt Fran paid for her sister to go to college. Aunt Fran went to college first, and no one really knows how she paid for that. But when she graduated, she got a job, and she used that money to pay for my grandmother's college education. And that made Aunt Fran and my grandma the first women in their family to go to college. She was also a fun and compassionate aunt and great aunt. She had no children of her own, but she cherished her nieces and nephews. My mom remembers with admiration the visits that Aunt Fran paid to them. She would play games with her and her siblings, and she also used her sewing skills to make dresses for my mom and my aunt. When she got great nephews and nieces like me, she crocheted blankets for each one of us. Aunt Fran also was always giving the family a good laugh. I have one particular memory of when we were at a restaurant all together and we were getting ready to leave, and she said, "Wait, I can't leave yet, I haven't had dessert." And this was at a time when Aunt Fran was getting kind of older and her memory was failing her. And my grandma said, "Frances, you did have dessert. Look, you had cobbler. It's right there in front of you." She said, "Oh, I must not have enjoyed it very much." When she wasn't with her family, she still had people to serve. Aunt Fran used her gifts to serve her community. She was the Nazarene Missions International President for the state of Georgia for 30 years. She used this job to connect local churches to missionaries all over the world to help support the work they were doing. This is the way that Aunt Fran's passion to help people leaped across boundaries and oceans. Her small spark could have ignited flames all around the world that she never even knew about. Aunt Fran also used her love of nature to encourage people that she went to church with by decorating the church with flowers every Sunday morning. In her old age, Aunt Fran moved to Virginia and lived with my grandparents and went to their church. Every Sunday morning, she would go out in the backyard and she would pick the prettiest flowers she could find and put it in a vase. And she would she would take it to church with her and leave it in the church lobby for people to see when they walked through the door. After she passed away, the pastor at her funeral recalled this small token of love and with appreciation. In conclusion, Aunt Fran's story can inspire all of us. She had an unshakable independence and still faithfully loved her family and served her community. We can all learn from her story. Thank you for listening.
All right, good work.
5